This episode is brought to you in partnership with the City of Cape Town. Dalian Campbell is Executive Director for Transport at the City of Cape Town. We'll be discussing the city's transport strategy and their future thinking. But before we get into that, Dalian, welcome. Give us a brief introduction to your background and role at the City of Cape Town.
Thank you very much for this opportunity to actually speak to you today. I'm Dalian Campbell and the Executive Director for the Transport Directorate in the City of Cape Town. My background is I'm a transport economist, and having been at work in this specific area of transport and transport planning and operations for the last 35 years already. So that's me.
Looking at the current state of the sector, what are the major challenges faced and impacts of the pandemic, and how is the city managing that?
The major thing with at the moment is that we had quite a loss of passengers on our MyCity services because of the pandemic. As you can think, at first we couldn't run at all, and then it was very limited. And we do find that it's quite difficult to actually bring the passengers back because of safety issues. And you can think everybody is a bit scared of being in a bus with other passengers. The numbers are growing again, but very slowly. And we're hoping to be back, if we can stay now at level 3, to about 80% of our previous occupation of our MyCity services quite soon. I think that also with summer coming, we will see changes in patterns in that industry, and it will assist greatly. So that is the one thing with the pandemic that was quite negative, but on a positive side, it actually assists us quite dramatically with our congestion relief programs and the plans that we have made over the years to actually get people to stagger working hours and things like that, and to actually also do flexi work. Now we work from home, which is basically the normal. It's causing a bit of a conundrum in the CBD itself because all the enterprises would like to see people coming back to the city, where we would like to see the advantages of having this congestion much better actually on our highways during peak hours, to see that continue. So it's a bit of a catch-22, but we are seeing how we can actually manage that, and then maybe get more of the economic development at public transport facilities and places like that, instead of always just being in the CBD.
What is the scope and the key elements of the city's transport strategy for growth and recovery?
Our biggest push for this next financial year is in terms of our rollout of our phase 2A integrated rapid transport system in this Metro Southeast. As you know, it is a huge project, 7.5 billion, which is one of the largest, or the largest, public transport project ever undertaken by the City of Cape Town. In this financial year, we are going to spend R1 billion on construction, about 7,000 job opportunities just in that area alone. So for us, that is a very big push. And there's no constraint, or everything is already in place to get the contractors and all the people on board. So we are very excited about it. Really a big project that is going to advantage not just in future the traveling of passengers, but actually going to create so many jobs in that area. We've also worked out that there should be about 800 permanent jobs as soon as the operations, and that is outside of the actual people working on the system itself, but additional opportunities for people to actually be able to go into job opportunities. In terms of the rest of it, is that, as you know, we have to look at new alternatives as well in terms of transport because of the failure of PRASA. It is a fact. PRASA is and we see rail as the backbone for our integrated system. But due to the failure thereof, where the phase 2A was always seen as a complementary service, we are now more and more thinking of it, but maybe it's actually going to be this service in the future. And how can we then look at new technologies to make the service even carrying more passengers than in the past? One of the big projects that we're also, as a directorate, very involved in is the Bellville Catalytic project. Um, I think everybody knows about it, where it's centered very much around the current public transport interchange in the Bellville area. But we are looking much wider than that, also at future routes. And instead of just looking at maybe a BRT route, we are looking at alternative technologies like light rail. We have identified a possible route where we can actually now do investigations and maybe future investment in a completely new mode of transport for the city.
What major barriers exist to the implementation of this strategy?
The major barriers is, as always, money. The funding is the biggest issue. Because of COVID, we know that the rates base has changed a bit, and that the income of the city has changed as well. And that is all over the country. I think Cape Town has been doing very well in these circumstances. So yes, future funding, operational funding, especially in later years. We have the capital now, but of course things can change. And unfortunately, we don't have a crystal ball, so we can't see into the future. Also, if there is any problems with the receiving of the national grant further into the future, and there I'm talking after the phase 2A, for instance, for a very grand plan like a light rail system or something like that, we are already talking to national departments of the Department of Transport as well as Treasury to see that we can maybe start using the public transport grant for different types of services and not just for BRT as it was earmarked right from the beginning. A big problem for us, and which is also hampering then the whole TDM transport management plans that we have, is because of PRASA failing and not operating, because it does put more road transport there, whether it's taxi or buses, that it is causing that backlog again into the future. And that we really want to see, and we are doing everything that we can from our side to assist PRASA to actually get the rail back onto track as well. Of course, it's not all doom and gloom. We've learned through COVID that there's other ways of working, and through that, of course, you can create new job opportunities because there's a different way of doing things.
With regards to the recent crisis involving the minibus taxi industry, how is the city responding to it?
This is a very difficult area that we are working in, and as you can think, very volatile. The city, because we are not the authority that actually negotiate with the taxi industry itself, we are not the provincial regulator, but we work very closely with the province to make sure that we are on top of what is happening, that we have our input into everything. We have had meetings every Monday night this last couple of weeks with the MEC, the Premier, and then the Mayor, and all the senior officials from both sides, as well as law enforcement in those meetings. So we're working very closely with law enforcement, making sure that they are available and for escorting, for instance, the buses of Golden Arrow, which has been targeted quite heavily, as you can think as well. But we're not in the negotiations between CATA and Cudeta. That is not our prerogative. What we have also done is we have our plan ready for if province do ask us to have some of our MyCity, the 9-meter buses, deployed immediately. So our plan is ready. We can take up the service at any time, but we have decided that we will wait until province actually requests it from us to do that.
The city has received criticism for only putting aside 2% of its budget towards non-motorized transport. How do you react to such criticism?
I'm not very concerned about the criticism because of the distances that our people travel. So we're not a walking city. We are providing non-motorized transport and NMT facilities where it makes sense to have it. But nobody is going to walk from Khayelitsha to the city. So it is no use building a major walking facility for them. We are pedestrianizing the city very much in terms of the CBD, as well as where people really want to walk or cycle. So, and also 2% of the overall city budget is actually a huge amount of money to provide for the NMT facilities. So as I say, it does not really concern me that much because I know that we are implementing and we do have a plan as well, and we are implementing the plan as it unfolds. A lot of NMT is going to be provided with the Metro Southeast routes as well as the feeder routes in there, because the same as what happened on the West Coast is as we build BRT, you actually do build then the non-motorized facilities with that. So you're going to have many kilometers of non-motorized transport in those areas in the future.
What is the plan to accelerate Bellville PTI and Bellville as a hub, the Future Bellville Masterplan?
The transport department directly is not the leader of the Bellville catalytic project, and that is being led by the spatial planning department. But we're very closely involved in it because it is surrounded by the or the whole development is around the PTI. It is a long-term project, very much also again very. It needs a lot of funding. So it's also having to prioritize those projects into our budgets then in future. For us, it is a very important project because that is basically our next phase where we also need to go to in future. So there's not much more that I can say about that.
What are your views on the proposed extension of the R300?
We're very much in support of that extension. It is a provincial and a SANRAL project, but we are involved in the planning of that to make sure that it is to the benefit of the city.
Regarding the Mitchells Plain TOC pilot, what is the city's plan for the future of the minibus taxi industry sector's formalisation and modernisation?
Very interesting subject, and also something that we personally are very excited about is that council approved that we can actually now go forward with the formation of the taxi operating companies. So in terms of the Mitchells Plain 7th Avenue specific pilot project, we are carrying on with that. We've actually now signed a heads-up agreement with the DBSA, where they are getting involved and see how they can also assist to get this pilot project off the ground further. We have proof of concept that it does work, that the industry wants to be formalized in this way that we are now actually proposing. And also we've had, for instance, the Noon Association saying to us that they want to be next to actually look at this. This whole taxi operating company formula is going to be part of the Metro Southeast BRT system as well, in that they will be the feeder services. So it is very much on our radar, and we are starting, especially now with council approval that we received just recently, we can actually start really negotiating now in terms of that.
What is the city's view on the province's Blue Dot initiative?
We completely supported the Blue Dot initiative. We actually are in talks with province that we want to incorporate some of the ideas also behind the Blue Dot in our TOC model. It's got very good key performance indicators that they are using, for instance, as well. So we don't see the two as opposing. We see that they very much can work together. And so we will also, as I say, we want to take some of those principles actually into our TOC model.
What is the progress for the city to take over the management function of rail?
A bit of a sensitive issue in that we have proposed a study to be undertaken by the city earlier this year already, and about actually last year already, and we got comments from the National Treasury that it's not within our mandate to actually do a study like that. So we have now written to National Department of Transport, we've written to the Treasury as well as actually to the President's Office to resolve this issue, because as a planning authority, it is our right to plan for future public transport in the city. Is part of Schedule 7 or Schedule 4 of the Constitution. So at this stage, we're at a bit of a standstill that we can't go ahead with our study to actually see what is feasible and what can we do and what can't we do. So, but otherwise, we are very keen to be involved in the planning of future the rail services in the city. And as I previously said, we are doing everything in our power to assist PRASA at this stage with getting the central line back on track, etc. But it's not our mandate to actually operate trains at this stage.
When will the My City Phase 2 have the first wheel roll?
In terms of the first wheels on the ground and people on the buses, it will be in August of 2023. That is our plans. And then we've got a rollout over the next 5 years, then up till the end of milestone D, which is then the last phase in 2028. It is a lot of construction going on, but as construction are finishing, and we're seeing it finishing around about February, March of 2023, then you test and in order to be able to operationalization. So August 2023, we want to be there.
It's not all doom and gloom. What are some of the recent success stories from the industry?
We actually did much more than what you will think we have been doing. When I started here, I never thought that my biggest crisis was going to be repairing of potholes after a severe winter and rain. But that was one of the big issues that was going and happening. But we have really put our shoulder to the wheel and brought it down considerably. And we're not there yet, but we're going to get there definitely in future. A couple of highlights also in this last financial year is definitely the state-of-the-art, the noon PTI that we've built. And that will also, part of it will start operating quite soon. And it is really a public transport interchange that we are very proud of in that area, and it is a whole upliftment of the area. Then we have implemented CCTV and Wi-Fi services at the Nova Park PTI, which is quite exciting for the youngsters because they're always looking for free Wi-Fi. So we're trying to also start reaching out to our younger passengers and to actually listen to them what they want on the services. We have quite a number of congestion relief projects, which like the Broadway Boulevard that we completed, Jan Smuts Road that we've completed as well. Rehabilitation of road infrastructure, of course, is very important, and there we've rehabilitated over the last year Gilbason and Jake Gerwel, just as some of the examples. Back to our non-motorized question as well, is that we actually built a bridge, a very nice pedestrian bridge over the N2, which helps the community quite a lot. And that was to the amount of 22.6 million rand. So it is not cheap infrastructure, even if you think of non-motorized. So, and then also there's quite a lot of traffic signal upgrading going on in the CBD itself to facilitate pedestrian safety within the city. And then, as I said previously, we're also investigating closing and having completely pedestrian streets and not just the boulevards that we have at the moment. So we're also looking at that. Then the completion of the NMT facilities in Atlantis, as well as in Blouberg North, which has happened over the last financial year. And the 29 local residential areas is actually being covered with that NMT that has been going on there. We've developed the My City traveling app, which is very popular with our passengers because they don't have to have a piece of paper with the timetables and things like that. And they can actually now plan the routes where they want to go. In terms of COVID, we did a lot of speed fencing in our PTIs, making sure that people keeping social distancing, sanitizing, not just even the PTIs, but also the taxis or the buses that are there, making sure that everybody has their mask on. So for me, that is some of the highlights. There's many more, but I think that is enough.
On the topic of collaboration, how is the department collaborating with private sector and what opportunities are there for collaboration?
In terms of the National Land Transport Act, according to which we work, we have established the LTAB, which is the Local Transport Advisory Board, as well as the IPC, which is then the Integrated Planning Committee. And those two are open to province, all our neighboring municipalities, as well as operators, business, etc. So we have every second month committee meetings in terms of that, where we discuss all transport-related issues. The IPC itself has got 9 subcommittees that in the different fields of transport, as well as land use development, etc., where all of these people are also then represented, and we're actually looking at technical ways of working together then and on projects. For instance, one of the projects that we are looking now for into the future is on request of Saldanha, that we might have a My City bus route to Saldanha. So that is the way that we work with that. Also on this both groups and both of these committees, we also have National Department of Transport and Treasury. So it is actually a very collaborative way of working. Like I said, all the operators is there, but also we have the private sector in other formats, as well as AXA and people like that on it, or companies like that.
What are the main lessons taken from 2020 and the first half of 2021, and how can the city address them to not only survive, but to thrive in the future?
We're quite positive because we were able to adapt very quickly to what happened in 2020. And then we're actually taking that further into 2021. And one of the things that we are definitely taking further is our whole congestion relief program. And we do believe that even as a city, we might never go back to everybody working permanently in offices. We have our own work plan in terms of that. And then we're working very closely together with the Chamber of Commerce to actually see how we can do that in future, and whether we can actually reinvent certain of the areas. For instance, if you look at the council's own parking spaces, shouldn't that be used for a different use in future? Otherwise, it is just for us to, again, get our My City figures and passenger figures back to where it used to be. But that will only happen as we ride out the pandemic. And so for me, the biggest lessons learned is that we can survive in this type of situation that we have been in over the last couple of years, and that the city is resilient. It's definitely very resilient, and we will go on as we have. We will always have challenges in transport. It is a very volatile area to actually be involved in, but I'm very positive that we are making strides.